I told y'all 10:15, where's 10:17? What in the world? All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is June 7th, 2024, and we are having our meeting of the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees is now called to order, and again, it is now 10:17 a.m. Central Time. So just want to say thank you to all of you for all of your help, but more specifically, want to say thank you to the staff. You all have been so accommodating. I know we have kept you here late, had you come back early. So thank you for all of your help and your assistance in making sure that we can have a productive discussion. And then the other thing I want to make sure I discuss is ensuring that for everybody that is still here, for all the trustees, thank you for your service and for your knowledge and wisdom and for your viewpoints as we continue to do the things that we're doing. And then the other thing I want to make sure that I do is make a note to Dr. Glover and echo the statements that were made yesterday. We get ready to navigate some really challenging waters as we move forward, and knowing that we have a team of people all around that are interested in ensuring and making sure that we have a really good situation for the students as they get ready to return. And then for all of the members of the cabinet, the faculty, thank you all for all of your help and your patience with us. I know we ask a lot of questions, and it may come off sometimes as challenging, but it is because what you're experiencing and seeing is our passion for the university, and when we see it matched from you all, we know that that passion is there from you all as well. So just want to say thank you for all of that. And so let's go into, I think we need to make some certain findings on the record regarding the necessity for conducting today's meeting by electronic participation.
No.
We do have one person that is participating electronically, so we would need to make sure that we do a full roll call vote for everything, right? As we
Yes.
go through this process. So at this time, we will need to call the roll. And board members, if you cannot hear or speak to the other board members, please state so as your name is called for roll. For each board member participating electronically, please identify any individuals who are present in the location from which you are participating. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Chapman.
Present, and I will also be transitioning to virtual within the hour, Madam Chair. And I will say that at that time, it's just going to be me in the car.
Well, don't be speeding.
Trustee Norfleet.
Present.
Trustee Qualls.
Present, and there are no individuals near me during this meeting.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Trustee Torber.
Here.
Trustee Tucker.
Present.
Trustee Winton.
Present.
Trustee Young-Siegler.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The first action item on the agenda is the approval of the April 26, 2024 board meeting minutes as contained in the June 7, 2024 board materials. Are there any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, I move for the board to approve the April 26, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting minutes as contained in the board materials for the June 7, 2024 meetings. These meeting minutes can be found in tab 4A on page 11 of the board document. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the question. The question is on the motion to approve the April 26, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting minutes as contained in the board materials for the June 7, 2024 board meeting. All those in favor, please say aye, and those please say nay. Actually, sorry, because we do not have everyone participating, we will need to take a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Chapman.
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet.
Yes.
Trustee Qualls.
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Torber,
Yes.
Trustee Tucker,
Yes.
Trustee Winton,
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler.
Yes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is super exciting, which is the appointment of the student trustee. Pursuant to the Focus Act, a Tennessee State University student shall serve as a non-voting student member of the board. The board shall appoint the non-voting student member to serve a term of 1 year. And at the April 26, 24 board meeting, the board adopted the student trustee recommendation process for the board's appointment of the student trustee for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. In following this recommendation process, which included action and input by the Tennessee State University Student Government Association and institutional interviews, including interviews with President Glover, the president is recommending that the board's appointment of Tyler Vasquez to serve a 1-year term as the student trustee. Mr. Vasquez's bio can be found in the board materials. Mr. Vasquez is a Dr. Levi Watkins Jr. BS MD scholars who will graduate in May 2025. And he has been active in the Student Government Association and has served as a research assistant to Dr. Cosmos Okoro. I move to appoint Mr. Tyler Vasquez to serve a 1-year term as student trustee on the TSU Board of Trustees. Yay! But I know he was in here. Oh, there he is.
Second.
Second.
Okay, would you, yay! Okay, we've got to do the official part of it, but, so once you sit down and they give us space for you, we would like, we'll ask you to make a few comments after that, but we will have a motion and call the vote, please.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
Trustee Qualls,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Torber,
Yes.
Trustee Tucker,
Yes.
Trustee Winton,
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, did we find a seat for him? Oh, wonderful. Would you like to make a few comments?
Absolutely. Can y'all hear me? Oh, okay. It's nice to meet everybody. I'm Tyler Vasquez. I'm a rising senior Dr. Levi Watkins Jr. scholar, major in biology, graduating a year early. So it's really great to be able to have this opportunity. Just really quickly, I wanted to thank a few people, Mr. Pendleton and Dean Stevenson, for allowing me the opportunity to interview President Glover, the Office of Student Activities, and former student trustee Wimberly for kind of providing guidance to be able to apply for this role and learn more about it. And I'm excited to be able to continue the work. So thank y'all so much. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Share the GPA with us.
4.0.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We all look forward to working with you and your serving on the board and board committee matters. So the next item on our agenda is item number 4, which is the appointment of additional executive committee meeting members. The next, pursuant to the board's committee of the board policy, the executive committee shall be comprised of the chair and vice chair of the board and at least one other at-large voting member elected by the board. The trustee of the board shall be the chair of this committee. As board chair and vice chair, trustees and Charber respectively are deemed members of the executive committee. To ensure compliance with the board policy, the board must approve the additional executive committee members. So with this, at this time, I move to appoint Terica Smith and Travia Trapman to serve as additional executive committee members, and I will entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or any discussion about this? Could you please call the roll?
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
Trustee Qualls,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Torber,
Yes.
Trustee Tucker, Yes. Trustee Winton,
Yes?
trustee Young Ziegler.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4D as in David, which is the approval of the audit committee charter. And at this time, I will ask trustee Trauber to address this agenda item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm addressing this agenda item in lieu of trustee Williams, who could not be with us at this time. And, excuse me, at yesterday's audit committee meeting, the audit committee recommended that the full board approve the audit committee charter. On behalf of the audit committee, I move to approve the audit committee charter as contained in the board materials for today. And I will make a motion to have the charter approved.
So moved.
Second.
We'll call a question. Questions on the motion? Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
trustee Qualls,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Trubber,
Yes.
trustee Tucker,
Yes.
trustee Winton,
Yes.
trustee Young Ziegler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving to agenda item 4E as in Edward, which is the approval of the audit committee. Pursuant to state law, the board must establish an audit committee, and pursuant to the audit committee charter, the board must approve the audit committee members and the chair of the audit committee. Pursuant to the committees of the board policy, the board chair appoints members of the audit committee subject to board approval in accordance with the audit committee charter. The audit committee members serve a 2-year term. As board chair, I have appointed trustee Williams, Qualls, and Trauber to serve a 2-year term on the audit committee, subject to board approval. I move to approve the appointment of trustee Williams, Qualls, and Trauber to serve a 2-year term on the audit committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion? Secretary Pendleton, please take the roll.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
trustee Qualls,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Trubber,
Yes.
trustee Tucker,
Yes.
trustee Winton,
Yes,
trustee Young Ziegler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. Moving to agenda item 4F as in Frank, approval of the audit committee chair. Pursuant to the committees of the board policy, the board chair appoints the audit committee chair subject to board approval in accordance with the audit committee charter. As board chair, I have appointed trustee Kevin Williams to serve as the chair of the audit committee. At this time, I would move to approve the appointment of trustee Williams to serve a 1-year term as chair of the audit committee.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Secretary Pendleton?
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
trustee Qualls,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Trubber,
Yes.
trustee Tucker. Yes. Trustee Winton,
Yes.
trustee Young Ziegler.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 4G as in George, which is the audit committee report. The next item on the agenda, I will ask trustee Trauber if you will report the action and any other items from yesterday's audit committee meeting.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And again, providing this report on behalf of trustee Williams, who could not be with us. And also want to clarify for those in the room and those that may be watching us virtually, that we had robust conversation during our audit committee of all the items that I will run through just for purposes of this meeting to highlight the fact that they were discussed, including matters that are deemed confidential under state law, which would not be subject to public disclosure. So yesterday at our audit committee meeting, we discussed approval of the audit committee charter, which was just approved by this board. We also discussed the annual report on the audit office's audit activities. We received a report on internal and external audit items. We also discussed the audit office's internal quality assessment and also reviewed outstanding audit issues, again, some of which were deemed confidential pursuant to state law. We also had the discussion of the 2024-2025 audit plan, which I'd like to move to and recommend to the full board for the approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Torber?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker? Yes. Trustee Witten?
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This concludes the Audit Committee's report. The next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee report. The Chair recognizes the Finance Committee Chair, Trustee Dwayne Tucker, who will report the action and information items from today's Finance Committee meeting, yesterday and today's.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The agenda for the the Finance Committee included reports from the Institutional Advancement. We also had a discussion around deferred maintenance plan, and an update was provided to the board. And we also had a CFO give us an update related to TSAC program and where we stood with the funding associated with that. And then we also had a business update and finance update that was provided by Dr. Glover and our CFO. There were 3 items that the Finance Committee reviewed that require board approval. That first item is approval of the full year 24-25 tuition and mandatory fees increase. The Finance Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the fiscal year 24-25 tuition and mandatory fees increase of 5.5%. Please note that in accordance with the Tennessee Tuition Transparency and Accountability Act and Board Policy 006, the public was notified through a post on the board website. That we would be considering a proposed fee increase, and members of the public were given the opportunity to submit comments on the tuition and fees proposed. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the fiscal year 24-25 tuition and mandatory fee increase of 5.5% as contained in the board materials for the June 7th, 2024 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll now turn it over
Yes,
to.
Trustee Tucker. This is Trustee Qualls. I was not able to ask this question in the Finance Committee earlier, but just, I know we had part of the discussion yesterday and the concern about increasing the tuition for the students and the burden that that may incur on some of our students versus the gain that we're getting with the $5 million increase. Do we have any idea of the collection rate on the tuition currently? Like, how are our students paying now?
So, President Glover, is anybody in your team that could answer that question?
The question is the rate of collections on student accounts receivable. That's a question, Trustee Qualls?
Yes, ma'am, tuition, yes.
That's Alan.
Our collection rate is approximately 75 to 80% for each of our students here at TSU.
Trustee Quarles, does that satisfy you?
Thank
Answer
you.
the question? Okay, thanks. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trubber?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Witten?
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler?
Yes.
The second item seeking approval from the full board is approval of the full year 23-24 estimated budget. The Finance Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the 23-24 estimated budget. Is there a second? Well, I guess I'll move it first. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the full year 23-24 estimated budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Secretary Pendleton?
Trustee Chapman.
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet.
Yes.
Trustee Qualls.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Trubber.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Winton.
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler.
Yes.
Our last agenda item that requires full board approval is approval of the full year 24-25 proposed budget. The Finance Committee also voted to recommend to the full board approval of the 24-25 proposed budget. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the full year 24-25 proposed budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No. Call the roll.
Trustee Chapman.
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet.
Yes.
Trustee Qualls.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Trubber.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Winton.
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to thank the Finance Committee for their efforts around these agenda items and support, as well as the questions. Is there anything on the Finance Committee members that we left out that we should discuss? No? If not,
I mean, maybe just a review of some of the other items that were on the Finance Committee agenda that were discussed, just for the record,
okay.
that we received reports or different informational items.
Well, I tried to do my best at the beginning.
You may have done that at the
those,
beginning, I
yeah.
may have missed it.
Yeah, I think you might have been occupied, but I think we covered that. Unless someone else, okay. And you know, I'm slightly younger than you, older than you, but you, okay, but.
That has nothing to do with when the mind goes.
Hey, with that, Madam Chair, this concludes the Finance Committee's report.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is agenda item 4, letter I, which is the Student Academic Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the Student Academic Affairs Committee Chair, Trustee Jeffrey Norfleet, who will provide and report action and information items today for today's committee meeting. There are 2 action items and 6 reports.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Academic and Student Affairs Committee had a great meeting on yesterday. There were 2 action items, but also there were 6 reports that I will go over first. We had a report on the SAC-COC Accreditation Matters 5th Year Interim Report, a General Academic Affairs Report, an enrollment update that was shared with us, also the Institutional Merit Scholarships, as well as a Student Affairs Report. Each of those provided detail on the level of work that they're doing within those specific offices. Those action items, first, the Student and Academic Affairs Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the 2024-2025 tenure and promotion recommendations. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in the board materials for the June 7, 2024 board meeting. On behalf of the Student and Academic Affairs Committee, I move to approve the 2024-2025 tenure and promotion recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Chapman.
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet.
Yes.
Trustee Qualls.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Trubber.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Winton.
Yes.
Trustee Young Siegler.
Yes.
Thank you. The next action item was the approval of a new academic program, the Graduate Certificate in Higher Education. The Student and Academic Affairs Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program, the Graduate Certificate in Higher Education. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in the board materials for the June 7, 2024 board meeting. And on behalf of the Student and Academic Affairs Committee, I move to approve the new academic program, a Graduate Certificate in Higher Education. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trober?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Witten?
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Right. That concludes the report for the Student Academic Affairs Committee, and we do appreciate the work.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the committee chair, Trustee Terica Smith, who will provide a report from the committee meeting.
Thank you. The Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee met this morning, and a presentation was made by Rick Legion of the Association of Governing Boards on the topic of clarifying committee responsibilities and priorities. It was just an informational training, and there was no further action by the committee. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. The next item on the agenda is the Ad hoc Presidential Search Committee report. The chair recognizes the committee chair, Trustee Marquita Qualls White, who, why did I just say White? I just made you marry your cousin. Who will provide a report from the committee meeting.
Thank you. Yesterday, the Ad hoc Presidential Search Committee met, and we had discussion about the next steps, as was the charge from you, the chair, for creating this committee. We made the recommendations that I would like to put forward to the board. The recommendations are as follows: name an interim president by July 1 of 2024. We will continue our contract with Academic Search to initiate a new search while ending the current presidential search effective immediately upon adoption by the board. With that, I would like to recommend to the full board approval of these recommendations from the Ad hoc Presidential Search Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trober?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Witten?
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the report on TSU athletics. The chair recognizes President Glover and Director of Athletics, Dr. Mickey Allen, who will provide information regarding this agenda item.
Yeah, AD is supposed to be a little bit more athletic. But no, good afternoon, Madam Chair, Madam President, and members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to provide a brief report on TSU athletics. The report is going to be specific to competitive and academic success in spring of '24. I'll talk about some of our recent head coaching hires and summer activity across our sports programs, as well as games and events for the upcoming fall season. We have a third-year coach in Janae McGrath. She's in her third year. She's done an exceptional job. You'll see it's highlighted by a third-place finish in OVC competition. She also reached the quarterfinals in the OVC championship tournament in Peoria, Illinois. So we're certainly pleased about the direction of our softball program. In terms of women's tennis, we advanced to the second round in the OVC tournament, which is a first in our program's history. And then in women's golf, we had an outstanding student athlete, Erin Marcellino. She was named to the All-OVC women's golf team, so we're certainly pleased about that. In Tennessee State Track and Field, we have a men's track athlete, Kenyon Johnson. He qualified for the national regionals in triple jump. as well as our 4x1 team, 100 team. They finished first in OVC Track and Field Championships, which we'll be hosting next year at Temple Track. So we're excited about the opportunity to host OVC Championships. We conclude this spring with the Tennessee State Sports Hall of Fame event, where we honored 25 former greats, inclusive of names like Robert Covington, the late great Shy Joyce, Gerald McRae, the late great King Dunlap, and others. So it was a great opportunity for us in athletics to really bring back our former players and engage them. And so we appreciate the opportunity to do that. In terms of our academic success, we had 44 graduates in the spring class. And then from the year, we had 60 graduates. In the 44 graduates, we had non-graduate student athletes. You're going to start to see us graduate more individuals in this category because of the transfer portal, and we're getting transfers from from schools, and so we're putting the resources around them to get higher majors in terms of degrees. So we're making strides in that area. The composition of our academic staff, we have 3 counselors, and it's headed by Kenita Stokes. She's our assistant AD of academic services, so she does a great job, and we continue to have academic success because we want to not only compete, but we want to graduate scholars as well. We've had recent coaching hires in the sports of women's basketball and hockey. First start with Candace Dupree. Candace Dupree comes to us. She's a Temple graduate. She played for the legendary Don Staley. Comes with rave reviews as she's been a player development coach from the San Antonio Spurs. So she worked under the tutelage of Greg Popovich, which is a legendary coach there with that organization. She's a future Hall of Famer. She knows the game, can teach the game. At our level, it's important that we have a coach that not only can recruit at a high level, but can develop athletes as well. And so we're pleased about having Candace a part of our program. Dante Abercrombie, he's a product of an HBCU. He's a Hampton grad. He's set out to do something that many don't think we can do. We announced at the 2023 draft, Dr. Glover and I, that we'd change the game of hockey and make hockey more inclusive. And the start of that was to identify and bring a coach that knew the game. Dante's worked with the NHL organization, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Washington Capitals, and he's currently actively recruiting for the program. We anticipate becoming a Division I independent program in fall of '25. And we've submitted paperwork to the NCAA to be recognized as a Division I hockey program in that year, but it's going to be contingent on, one, our ability to recruit high-level athletes in that particular sport, and a funding model around it, which is going to be inclusive of institutional funds and fundraising initiatives by the Department of Athletics and the NHL and the Nashville Predators. Moving on to our upcoming events for the summer and fall of '24, we will be participating in the convention, the TSU National Alumni Convention, which is June 21st of this year. It's an opportunity for all of our coaches to spell out their vision for their programs and discuss recruiting and communicate the needs to garner alumni support. Deserve to Win is a celebrity basketball weekend, which is a product of our head basketball coach, head coach Brian Penny Collins, who had a great season. He comes off an 18-win season, but this is an opportunity for us to have a two-day event. The first night is a fundraiser where we bring in celebrities and we have a mixer to raise funds for the basketball program, and then the next day is concluded with a celebrity game. The 2024 kickoff luncheon, we will have that again this year, August 23rd. It's a fundraising event for our football program, and Coach George, he had a year that we've taken a step. We haven't had a season winning season since 2017. So the trajectory of our football program will be up, and we anticipate a great showing for that event. We'll have the John Merritt Classic. We'll play Mississippi Valley State, which Trustee Trauber, I know that's very dear to your heart, as we'll honor your grandfather in a first-class way and put on a great product at Nissan Stadium for the John Merritt Classic. We will engage the community more. We've talked about having a youth football jamboree, doing some things with North Nashville, with Nashville Public Schools, with high school games Friday night, but more details will come about. And then lastly, from an event perspective, we have a home-and-home series versus Howard University. We'll play in Washington, D.C., October the 19th of this year. They will be celebrating their 100th homecoming anniversary. So tickets, it's a hard ticket. We've done our best to accommodate constituents, alumni affairs, the foundation board, the new president's office. So we continue to work through that, but tickets will be on sale through Howard, not us. So just want to make a notation of that. And then lastly, future HBCU games. When I was hired, it was an initiative and it was a directive that we play more HBCUs for homecoming. And so we're working on, we'll have Howard for homecoming at 25 on October 18th. And then we're also working to get games against Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and Florida A&M. So those schools we're currently in contract negotiations and talks to get those games back online. That concludes my report.
Thank you for that. That's wonderful. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. Yeah, we were reviewing the budget line items, and the hockey announcement is getting a lot of excitement. But in the budget, I think it's only for the upcoming school year, just for the coach. So I guess in terms of the fundraising goal, it's all going to be left up to the athletic department to raise the dollars to support building out the capacity for the team to play. Is that accurate? And if so, do you have a number that you have to reach in terms of fundraising in order to move beyond just the coach to full implementation?
Yeah, well, the first step, like I said, was to establish the coaching position. It's inclusive of benefits. We also had a line item that spoke to travel in terms of recruiting for this year. But we've developed a pro forma, which I'd be happy to share. I have it today to share with each trustee member that outlines this is what you call a gap year. This year, obviously, we don't have a team to put on the ice, but it shows our fundraising initiatives to bring hockey to fruition, and it breaks down all the things that we have to do from an athletic department standpoint, to fundraise, to answer your question. But we also are leaning on this wasn't a Tennessee State only initiative. It's shared by the hockey program, our hockey team here in town in the NHL. So there's grant funding opportunities that are out there across all the sports teams in NHL. But we will have to do some fundraising to put a hockey team on the ice. Lindenwood's done it around $780,000. That's kind of the median. But we'll supplement that in terms of fundraising efforts.
And my last question is a reoccurring nightmare I have about every 2 years or so. It was an article in the Tennessean well before the pandemic that compared athletic budgets across the state of Tennessee. And I know you've done a lot in terms of raising funds for the athletic programs, but in that article, it summarized that TSU lost $14 million in terms of their budget and spend. So if the athletic department is a standalone organization, how are you doing in terms of balancing the budget?
Yeah, well, across the country, not just Tennessee State, 95% of schools in our conference are subsidized, right? Student fees, et cetera. And so we do fundraise at a high level through corporate partnerships, through private funding. Since I've been here, we developed an annual fund we branded it the Tennessee State Athletic Fund. However, it's still connected to our foundation accounts across campus. And so we track those. Right now we have 425 members. Gifts range from $100 to $10,000. But it's a great start on building revenue to really supplement our initiatives in the area of student enhancement. Our budget right now, last year was $16.78 million. That's inclusive of travel, equipment costs, all the nutritional aspects that it takes to run a college program. One of the things that we can do, and what I hope to do is we need to get revenue generating facilities on campus so we could start offsetting the brunt of institutional dollars that are going into athletics. We understand the importance and role of athletics is obviously to reflect the mission of the institution, which is excellence in competition, but there's an investment in athletics right now that if we had, for instance, our on-campus stadium, and we talked about right now we'll have the track event next year, the Temple track it got resurfaced. We'll be able to generate revenue in track and field because now from an event perspective, we can go out and bring in junior events, AAU national events. And so what my hope is, if you look at all the facilities on campus that are used by athletics, they're not quote unquote athletic designated facilities. They're shared across student affairs and multiple groups. And so if we can get to a place where we have, there was an operation building that was approved, but it's a $40 to $50 million building, that would actually help centralize our athletic operations. But we, again, to offset some of those costs, we have to, have facilities that we can stand on where we can start generating high-level ticket revenue, premium seating revenue, and those things to offset our budget.
So are we operating in the black or in the red?
No, we're operating in the red.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, every school in our conference is.
In the current year, what is that number then, in terms of the red?
Doug would have the exact, yeah. We can get it.
Okay. Keep up the good work.
Okay.
A.D. Allen, this is Trustee Qualls.
Trustee
My
Qualls.
heart bleeds blue. You know I bleed blue, but the grad work is boiler up or boiler up.
Boiler up. Okay, Purdue.
That's right. Question for you regards to our NIL program.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what are our policies around NIL? Do we have any current students who are benefiting from this or participating?
Yes, our NIL policy was created through my office and the Office of General Counsel. When NIL first hit college athletics, NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. So now in the collegiate space, our student athletes have opportunities to recruit revenue from marketing corporations, products, and benefiting from their name and images on billboards, et cetera. And so right now we do have student athletes across our sports programs that really benefit from NIL, specifically our men's basketball team. We have a partnership with a company called SNIL. They have a collective. It is a third-party collective. The revenues and deals that our basketball student athletes receive are reported through our Office of Compliance, and we keep up and track the deliverables that our student athletes have to do for companies when they're receiving dollars. But we do educate our athletes on the fact that now when you're receiving dollars from NIL, you do have to report it from a tax standpoint. So we really provide a lot of support mechanisms and education for our student athletes where they understand, yes, you do have the opportunity now to make additional revenue in the collegiate space, but there's an obligation for you to do some things that adults, we do every day in the tax category. But we want to have a collective that we solely run in athletics and not a third-party collective, but that takes quite a bit of revenue to set that collective up, the legal documents, and then once those legal documents are set, you definitely have to have a marketing campaign to put it out there where alums are aware of it and they know how to route the money through the collective and what specific athlete the dollars go to. So I know that's a complex answer, but in this day and age, we have to be competitive now because schools they're offering money to get the best athletes in the country, and so we have to get in that space to some degree. But at the end of the day, I don't think it will define the success of our athletics program that we should be paying kids. There's enough student athletes, and we have a high caliber of coaches that can develop athletes, and we have those in our building that don't get a dime.
Thank you for that. Now, I might have missed it, but did you tell me how many we currently have with NIL deals?
All of our basketball student athletes on the men's program, there were 15 last year that had it. Right now, there's 8 football athletes that have it, and then there's 3 volleyball student athletes that currently benefit from name, image, and likeness.
Second question is academics and our athletes. Can you talk a bit about how we're partnering with academic support services to ensure that our athletes not only remain academically eligible, but also their APR ratings remain without penalties, and we're not receiving penalties?
Yeah, so, I always say, and we talk about it across our coaching staffs, there's a standard academically at our institution, and we should be recruiting student athletes that can perform to those standards. And you recruit your problems I always say you recruit your problems. So what we're doing now in our academic area, like I said, we have 3 counselors, one which is the Associate AD of Academic Services. We work with our coaches very readily on the fact that, let's get the transcripts, we vet the transcripts, and if we see kids now in our program that are below the 2.5 GPA threshold, is that something we need to take on in the sport of football? No. Was that happening prior to my administration? Yes. But we've made a concerted effort to bring the type of kid in our program that understands that you're just not here as an athlete. You're at the Tennessee State University because you're a student athlete, and there's an expectation with that. And so right now across our sports programs, we had 957, which was reported in our basketball program. The highest has been for men's basketball. I'm confident that we're going to hit the score we need for our football program to make sure that we're above board from an APR standpoint. Across all of our sports programs, like I said, our academic success, when you look at our GSR, our retention rate, it's in the 70th percentile. And so we're trending in the right direction from an academic perspective. But we do work with hand in hand with academic support on campus. So we're not on an island in terms of advising. Our student athletes get advised on campus, and then my staff, we support in that capacity. And then we offer resources like learning specialists, hours, multiple hours after 5 o'clock to about 9 o'clock in the area of tutoring as well. So we use campus support in our tutoring department. If that answers you.
All right. Last question. Is there anything else, and Trustee Tucker, this is a page out of your book from yesterday. I like the way you asked. Is there anything else that you would like for us to know about the athletic department or operations?
Yes, I did mention, getting to a place where, we definitely look at, and this will be for the next president, but I believe President Glover addressed it yesterday. Right now, the university is in need of multiple aspects that deal with infrastructure. Infrastructure is important, specifically in housing, because when we bring young men and young ladies into our program, the first thing an aunt or mother wants to do is say, hey, where is my young person going to stay, right? And so we navigate around it, and we don't make any excuses, but I would like to see, and we all would like to see, as you all are alums, I'm a graduate alum, we want Tennessee State University to be able to provide an exceptional product in that category that will help athletics tremendously. Another thing that we need to address is, again, our facilities, they do have age. Again, we work around them. We put a high-level product out there. When you look at the Gentry Center, bringing more LED technology in, from lighting to billboard, what they call media boards, those are opportunities for corporations. And they look at it as assets, right? Real estate. And so that would help us garner more resources from a revenue generation standpoint, because we can solicit and close deals with your corporations, which we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies here, but I can go to a Bridgestone and say, hey, this is where we're going to put you in a prominent space on the video board, and these are the impressions, right? Because viewership is there in the arena. These are the impressions that your brand would garner. So those are the things, just moving forward, with the stadium here on campus. At some point, there's a phase one approach that we can take. Building a new stadium is $200 million, easy. But there's a phase one approach that we can take from a capital campaign standpoint, dedicated to minimal things that we can do to improve ADA guidelines. I would like to see turf. People go back and forth, turf and grass. Turf gives you ability to host multiple events, not just athletic events, but you can bring more revenue generation with a turf surface. So there's some things that we'll bounce some ideas about off you all, because you all have a lot of expertise in multiple areas. But again, I want you to understand, Tennessee State Athletics has a rich history, and I was hired to get it back there, okay? And I'll need everybody's support in doing so.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your report.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, the next item on the agenda is the report on research and sponsored programs. The chair recognizes President Glover and Dr. Quincy Quick, Associate Vice President for Research and Sponsored Programs, who will provide information regarding this agenda item.
Okay. Thanks. It's hard to follow that report from athletics, so I think Dr. Allen did a great job. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, President Glover, cabinet members, deans, faculty, staff, and students in attendance online. I'm going to give a really succinct report. It's been a long 2 days for you, not necessarily for me. I just had to listen. So it's been widely disseminated that Tennessee State University has had a historic run the last year as it relates to research funding. We did over $100 million in fiscal year 2023. To be exact, $100,031,083. That historic run continues this year. Right now, we're at $86,156,000. So that's the second highest total in the institution's history. And I think I didn't start off by kind of referencing that these materials can be found on page 203 and 204 if you bought materials, if you're trying to follow along. So these numbers change on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to do a quick run through. And what I'm going to provide is actually what's in the report, but I have other data that can be up to date. So I provided a year-to-year or year-over-year comparison. So when comparing the two fiscal years, the amount received as of May 20th in fiscal year 2024 was $85,670,270. This represents an 11% increase of about over $8 million compared to fiscal year 2023 at that same time point, which was $27,416. Additionally, the number of awarded grants increased in fiscal year 2024 to 178 from 166 in fiscal year 2023, marking a 7.2% increase. Not necessarily bad news, but there was a reduction as it relates to the number of grant submissions. So it's about a 3.5% decline in 2024 as compared to 2023. So in 2024, we had 192 submissions. In 2023, at the same time point, we had 199. That reduction was also reflected in the total amount requested in fiscal year 2023. Again, sort of continuing historical trends, we had $542,104 requested in fiscal year 2023 as compared to 159, roughly $160 million, which represents about a 23% decline. The highlights in fiscal year 2024 in terms of grant awards from investigators would be a $4.9 million grant awarded to Dr. Emmanuel Monde in the College of Ag to study hemp project and climate change. I also procured a $4.9 million grant from the Department of Education to establish the Center of Biomedical Sciences, and that's been already implemented. It's going well with the faculty researchers and postdocs that we're supporting there. And then Dr. Amir Shirkaday in the College of Engineering also procured a grant from the Office of Naval Research that was about $1.19 million. With respect to our funders, historically our funding, we're an agriculture school. I think everybody knows that. We get a lot of support from the USDA. So the USDA, Department of Education, and then one of our major funders has been the state of Tennessee. It's really acting as a pass-through entity for the Department of Health and Human Services. And so we get about $20 million a year from their support. So I think I will stop there and entertain any questions.
Grants and how they're structured, but these grants where you have to spend money to get reimbursed, or a combination of that plus some of the funds that you get can also be budget relieving, I guess. So typically how are these grants structured? You have to spend the money and then get reimbursed, or are you getting funds through these grants that allow you to offset some budget items?
Yes, I think, so let's provide a little bit of context here. My office handles pre-award. So when you're talking about the spending aspect of it, that's post-award. That actually reports to business and finance. So I'm just going to make one quick observation, which is we typically work on a reimbursement basis. I think any more details as it relates to that would be sort of reference to Dr. Allen.
Is it possible to share a breakdown of the $100 million in awards that we get? Like, what are some of the categories that that $100 million adds up to? What's included, rather?
In terms of funders?
Is it all? No. Research. Is it research awards only?
Right. So most of, about 70% of those are going to be research awards. And then let's call it 20 to 25% would be service or instruction. And I'm going to say mostly service because a huge percentage of the $100 million was actually procured by the Center of Excellence in Learning Sciences, who reports to me in the Division of Research and Sponsored Programs, where they get about $20 million a year. So that's mostly a service, mostly service awards. Or sponsored,
thank you.
Sponsored programs, yes, okay. No other questions? No? Thanks.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the President's report. The Chair recognizes President Glover, who will provide a report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair Winton and other members of the TSU Board of Trustees. I start by saying it has been a privilege and an honor of a lifetime to serve as president of Tennessee State University, my alma mater. So in my 12th year, I still marvel about the passion of the students, the faculty, the staff, and the alumni to achieve the vision of the university, specifically the success of our students and ensuring their future. This is indeed more than a full circle moment for me. This is where I got my start, where the seeds of excellence were sown to a young teenager from South Memphis who aspired to change the world. And I came to Tennessee State University and graduated in 1974. So from 1974 to 2024, the 50-year blessing, the awesome blessing that God could bestow. So it's my goal to elevate TSU, to advance TSU, to leave TSU in a better place than when I arrived. There are many great moments, and some rank higher than others. There are a few areas I want to highlight in just a moment. I'm happy that we've expanded TSU's breadth to a national level. We've elevated the brand, the reputation, the legacy, and ensured that TSU is on a nationwide platform by increasing the national visibility of our university. TSU has been discussed in rooms where it has never been discussed before. This recognition helped us to recruit even more students, and not only from the state of Tennessee, but from around the country. We brought many extraordinary individuals to our campus to see the experiences and the greatness, to see and experience the greatness of our institution, allowing our story to be told at a higher level. From hosting First Lady Michelle Obama and then the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, I'm just pleased to have developed that relationship with Vice President Kamala Harris. It began when she was a senator, and it grew into a different level when I was one of the ones who worked hard on her efforts to become the President Joe Biden's running mate in the 2020 election. So we started from there. So we met and talked as often as possible. And I'm often called upon to provide information for speeches or other activities. We've dined at her home and have discussions with her at the White House. And many times these discussions talked about elevating HBCUs and how TSU can have a leading role in that effort. I've also included our student leaders in their discussions with visits with her at the White House. And we're looking forward to our new student trustees joining me in another setting with them later this fall. A parallel is the return to our campus of TSU's daughter, Oprah Winfrey. We reconnected and reestablished a relationship with Oprah, and the university had not connected with her in about 30 years, despite attempts by alumni, TSU faculty and staff, as well as other TSU presidents. But with perseverance and diligence, we continue to build that relationship. And as she so fondly stated in her commencement address, that Glenda Glover was just not take no for an answer. So we were able to bring her back as our commencement speaker. And the attention that we received from her returning to TSU thrust us more into the international spotlight. There's much more potential with that relationship for us in the future. I'm sitting down talking with some parties now at TSU regarding developing the relationship further. Then there's several other influential folks that I won't mention. But I want to turn now to the next part of my report. It covers the people, programs, and progress. And it ends with the area of focus and the challenges and opportunities. So let's go with the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and the community. That's who we are. The people, the heart and soul of our university, the talented students, the dedicated faculty, and the committed staff, the supportive alumni, and so the community in which we operate. And we appreciate their commitment and just their overall support of academic excellence and operational efficiency. Next. So students, our continuing goal is to provide excellent service to our students and recruit talented students from around the country and to retain the students that we bring to TSU. So we were asked by the state legislature to narrow our focus to concentrate on recruiting in-state students. And so we're shifting our focus a lot more now to in-state students. So it will remain an issue since we're on a national stage and students from around the country continue to seek admission to TSU. So we're balancing, we work out that proper balance between in-state and out-of-state students, but we do want to make sure we have more in-state students than out-of-state students. So we are a state assisted institution. Next. So the faculty and staff, we continue to attract top talent from around the country. This enhances our student learning experience. The faculty have increased research productivity and engaged in cutting-edge research. And so this enhances the university's reputation. You just listened to some of the research that the $100 million for last year. So we appreciate what the faculty have done, what the staff have done in that regard. The staff members demonstrate their commitment every day by supporting TSU students, improving the operation of the university. I want to mention that we made some significant progress in improving the faculty and staff salaries. We've increased faculty salaries by 28%. We've increased staff salaries by over 30%. We initiated base salaries for department chairs, and we initiated base salaries for new faculty. And we set a minimum starting salary for employees. So TSU's been intentional about competitive salaries. Alumni, we have increased alumni engagement just to enrich the experience of our students. The student experience is really solidified with alumni that share their knowledge, their networks, their experiences. They're one of the most important stakeholders, if not the most important stakeholders of the resource of our university. So let me shift to academic programs. At the undergraduate level, the graduate level, the continuing education, and online. So we remain competitive with other top HBCUs as well as our non-HBCU peers. We continue to research new programs and see if they what we need at the time at TSU, because our goal is to make sure students are well prepared to compete in this global marketplace. So in graduate world, we're just experiencing significant growth, largely because the new businesses that come to Nashville, they bring in an employee base, and so we see what we can do to help them get advanced degrees and to maintain and increase their skill set. Companies like Oracle, Amazon, the healthcare industry, and Microsoft, and others. Continuing as the last of those four. We know that's the workforce training for corporations was really needed. And they're calling on TSU for coaching and training and instruction. So that demand is for TSU to just customize various programs to assist companies as they come here. And then online learning. It's experiencing growth in areas of both undergraduate and graduate just to meet the demand for this population, this contemporary population. And nearly 40 programs are exclusively online. So now let me just go to just a timeline, just some TSU accomplishments, some of the proud moments. I started, in November 2012 is when I received the Board of Regents vote to become TSU's 8th president. And I just pulled a quote from Governor Bill Haslam, who said, Dr. Glover is an excellent choice to lead TSU, and it's one. So I thought it was worth lifting that and put it right there. So let's go to the next slide. So in 2013, I just got a few bullets for each year. 2013, TSU was named amongst the top 6% of the best national universities category. We named to the honor roll for the 5th consecutive year, higher education community. I was named diverse issue in higher education as the top 25 women in higher education. So I took on campus life and it knew me, and I went and spent the night in one of the residence halls, Ford Hall, just to experience it and let the students know that we're going to be up here with you. You're part of us, and we're part of you. So I spent the night in the residence hall. And then we welcomed First Lady Michelle Obama to the campus. She did not come to a TSU graduation, but she came to, it was Martin Luther King Jr. Magnet School had its graduation, so she was there and we hosted her, and it was amazing. 2014, they said some things we did, the book bond initiative, it's now become almost a staple, but TSU was the first program, the state school to get that program, to initiate that. And then we got certified as a Vets campus in 2014, just showing our support for veterans. 2015, we have a new college we established, the College of Life and Physical Sciences. Then we made the honors program. We elevated to college level. We call the TSU Honors College. Some of the gospel choir, the Lady Tigers, NCAA. We just did a lot of things, 2015, the last one, I was invited to just go and present to the General Assembly about the underfunding. That's when the first underfunding came about. And before I got to General Assembly, we discovered the TSU had been underfunded. We called Representative Harold Love, and he became the spokesperson for us to take the fight to the General Assembly. So to see how we were underfunded. 2016, we partnered with Google to prepare students for the workforce. They had 10 historical black colleges, universities that they in their residence program. TSU is one of them. 2016 is also the year the Rich Credit Bands made history. The first historical black college university band to perform at the White House on the lawn at the Obama administration. As they celebrated the opening of the National Museum of African American History. Then the Wall Street Journal named TSU among the 10 historical black college universities, their rankings. It was released at the end of the year, 2017. We were named the best value school by University Research and Review. We began the process of revamping our graduate school. We received $2 million job placement grant from United Negro College Fund. Then we were among 3 historical black colleges, black institutions that created a consortium from UNCF to teach and to work with UNCF with TSU, Morgan, and Norfolk State. And Trustee Qualls worked with us on that effort. She worked with academic affairs on that effort to make sure we met the everything that was required in that effort. Then HBCU Lifestyle named TSU as number 1 in producing among HBCUs in producing teachers. And then we received the Education Innovation Grant to strengthen the teachers in the state. Next. 2018, that's when we got into this mode of we advanced in this mode of research. We improved we were at R3 research at that time. So we improved from R3 to R2. R3 is moderate research, and R2 is higher research. R1 is highest research, but we're heading to now. But that's what happened in 2018. More things of that one. We started the Citizens Police Academy, received the Best Student Organization honor. There's a Collegiate Academy, there's an academic and student affairs. We put some new programs that allowed for veterans to help them academically. I was named one of Nashville's 10 most powerful African Americans in Nashville Voice, and that's an online publication. And then Thurgood Marshall named me as the President of the Year, HBCU President of the Year. 2019, we had a partnership with FedEx, the Leadership TSU. It was 40 students that were selected in the first cohorts to help develop their work skills. And U.S. News rankings listed TSU as College of Public Service as one of the best public affairs programs in the nation. And then Apple, that's when our partnership with Apple started in 2018, when they wanted to have a university to lead an initiative in coding. For disclosure, they came to me at that time, I was international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha. They came to me and asked, could AKA take on this project, become the lead in code and create? So I told them, what you want is a university to do this and not a sorority. And so we convinced them you needed TSU to do this. And so TSU became their partner. It's grown from there, and we're just so pleased with that partnership. Then just we were noted as one of the lowest top 8% of colleges and universities in America with the lowest crime rate of all, not just HBCUs, but all universities. And then I was named the Female President of the Year, as well as the Woke 100 list. All right. And then we started with the Fulbright designation. That's the first year, 2019. Then 2020, that continued. But this is a year where COVID started. It was declared an international pandemic, so we had to shift everything to online. But then we became a leader in assisting other HBCUs to transition to all online learning and operations. And we all don't want to recall the COVID. In fact, we just try to forget that it happened, but you can't forget history. So when we played that national role in helping HBCUs, Dr. Melton was helping others get online because we just had the capacity to help the others. And then a tornado came right before that. Tornado came and we had to implement plans to recover, just to ensure the safety of our students. We teamed up with the presidents, as he just said, about the hockey. Then Bank of America partnered with TSU and contributed $1 million as part of their initiative to help students finish college. And then we partnered with Mahara Medical College, announced the partnership establishing a pipeline of African American students to become doctors and dentists, the Levi Watkins Institute. And because he was known internationally as a cardiac heart surgeon. This will happen to our student trustees in that program. 2021 was when the state of Tennessee determined that TSU, in fact, was underfunded by $544 million. And we brought it to their attention. It just took some time to work it through the system. So they did a study of their own. That's when they acknowledged that this $544 million was owed when compared to the funding received by the other land-grant institutions in the state. We had planned it, but now we launched the Levi Watkins Institute, and then TSU was named again a Fulbright Scholar the second year. I was invited to come to Washington to testify before the U.S. Committee on Education and Labor about some requested additional funding for HBCUs. And I became, at that point, becoming one of the national spokespersons for HBCUs. I was beginning to be called upon to either make testimony or prepare testimony or assist in legislation. There were many nights when I was on the phone with members of Congress trying to write specifically the legislation that could get passed. And so I was elevated to that role. And then the 10 most dominant HBCU leaders in 2021 by the HBCU Campaign Fund was named. And then that's the year I was appointed by President Joe Biden to serve as vice chair of the President's Board of Advisors for Historical Black Colleges and Universities. And it's just related and a lot of publicity for TSU and brought teachers to several spaces, and our students accompanied me several times. This when we began the process of advancing in the research category from R2 to R1. We really put the structure together to start that process to go from high research category to very high research category. And then in 2022, that we joined FedEx to ring the bell, the closing bell of the New York Stock Exchange on February 1. We had gotten $1 million from FedEx. So I mentioned earlier $1 million from Bank of America. And then Lowe's, one of the leaders, as you know, home improvement retailers, gave us $1 million to teach. So we spawned $1 million club. So we asked corporations to invest $1 million in TSU. And so we're pleased that I think we have 5 now that invested, then we have some more $500,000 investors. And then again, 3rd year in a row, TSU was named Fulbright again. And then the Quiz Bowl team from TSU beat out other 9 college teams and took place in the National Association of African American Honors Program, Quiz Bowl. That was in Baltimore. And then I was saying now we received nearly $5 million. I think it was 4.97 or 79, almost $5 million in a hemp research grant, an investment that could make TSU, the state of Tennessee, the #1 grower of hemp in the southeast region. A preacher, one of the ministers called me about that and really questioned me a lot about it. I won't go into that. Then 2023, we revamped our health and wellness plan. We expanded our focus on mental health. We went through the COVID crisis and there was so much happening and so many students requiring therapy and counseling services that we just had to revamp the whole mental health area, health and wellness. And TSU Rich Crowder Bands won 2 Grammys. And we went to California. It was just, it's indescribable. First collegiate marching band to win the 2 Grammys, the urban hymnal. Then the men's tennis team won. Then and we partnered with Amazon to provide their employees an opportunity to get a degree from college. The report was issued, the next thing was the report was issued by U.S. Department of Education, Agriculture, that showed that TSU was underfunded by $2.1 billion by the state of Tennessee. That was the largest of $13 billion underfunding owed by any state to HBCU. The others, the three of us were the $2 billion category. That's TSU, FAMU, and North Carolina A&T. And so the three of us have talked at different times about this and strategies. Second one at the bottom, TSU became the leading HBCU in artificial intelligence. Among HBCUs, we recognize as HBCU hub for artificial intelligence, and the innovation provost Robert Melton was named as the lead HBCU artificial intelligence expert worldwide. And then we featured Coca-Cola. Coke Zero commercial, it was a great thing. I wasn't in the commercial, but it was some students when it was a great commercial. The Billboard magazine named us as top commercial movies, one of two. HBCU Billboard as magazine as one of the best commercial music programs in the world. It was TSU and Howard. 2024. We ranked 2024 Best Online Master in Tennessee. And I received the Inspired Change Award from the Titans. Then Congressman Alma Adams brought about $5 million to TSU, part of her institute, her Ignite Act. TSU Aviation Program received a $500,000 grant. I mentioned Dr. Melton earlier. And I want to add that Attorney Lawrence Pendleton received an award from the I got to get it right, the Black Lawyers. Tell me.
You're referring to
Yes, you got
NACLA,
what
National Association of College and University Attorneys.
Yes, National Association of Black College University Attorneys. And he'd been on the board for a number of years. That somehow got truncated off the chart before that, but it was definitely on the chart. Right behind it got truncated. And then, so that's enough of that one. We celebrated our first graduate at Levi Watkins Institute. So that was just a time I went back through. So now let's go to the last two, some of the challenges. I brought out the good news about things we've done, but there are some challenges that we have experienced. Just one, managing the growth of TSU in a changing higher education environment, not just in the state of Tennessee, but across the country. We to manage the growth of TSU, we to manage the housing challenges. This is a time when housing prices have naturally increased. And the condition of TSU facilities have declined. So that's a challenge for us, how we manage that. Then managing through the HBCU Renaissance, and then the company enrollment and housing concerns associated with that. Improving retention and graduation rates of our students. Then addressing the funding formula, which does not adequately address the mission of TSU and the profile of TSU students or the uniqueness of TSU as an institution. And so they have made some considerations on how to adjust the formula to work with it, but there's a lot more that needs to be fully addressed. And then there's a decline in state appropriation, another challenge. And we've engaged in just trying to do some self-funding mechanisms, just increasing the research funding, increasing our corporate sponsors. Dr. Tucker, Trustee Tucker raised earlier, how are we going to do this? Bring me some strategies. Reduce costs or raise some more revenue. So we're looking at how we're going to do this in a declining environment of state appropriation. Then managing the challenges associated with student accounts and student collections. Providing greater financial assistance to students. That's another one. We have students with balance, and we're trying to find a way to provide greater financial aid assistance to students, and then just address underfunding of TSU in general. Then we got some opportunities. The opportunity of just trying to advance from R2 to R1. We put the plans in place to move TSU from R2 to R1, the highest research category. As we said, there are 11 HBCUs down as R2 category. Then the opportunity will continue to develop our students and ensure they remain competitive. Implement new competitive academic programs, especially in the STEM area. AI is one of them. taking advantage of being located in Nashville. Well, this city continues to experience exponential growth and has become its city. So we're still working in various aspects of downtown redevelopment and doing some other things. And taking further advantage of HBCU Renaissance, then just a more significant role in the campus infrastructure. The further development of the TSU land that's on the north side of the campus and the role this development could play in North Nashville. Then TSU in the news. Oh, that's where it is. Several things with TSU in the news, technology, world has come to TSU. So this is what's been really published. So we say not just good thing, but what's in the news. Best value HBCU ranking, we were number 6. We ranked 2024 best online master in Tennessee. We were the first cohort, Levi Watkins program, the honors program, they all made the news. The College of Agriculture hosted his ARD symposium. Dr. Robin Melton was selected to serve on the Southern Regional Board Commission in Artificial Intelligence Education. She's become a leading expert around HBCUs. Then this is the one, Attorney Lawrence Penn, had the slides confused, received the 2024 Distinguished Award, NACUA Award for extraordinary service to education, academic attorneys in higher education institutions. So that's where we are, and the last chart is a transition. The transition plan is being developed that covers various units of our university. Each area is preparing a document that's explaining the role and services provided by their area and to list any challenges, any risk, any open items be passed on to the new president so that, the full disclosure of everything that's going on would be very helpful to the new president. That's the president's transition. That's the last chart. And I want to thank you all. I just have enjoyed serving my institution. I thank each of you, each board member, for agreeing to serve TSU. So we will move forward as one TSU, one mission, and one love for our great alma mater. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I can't follow that up, so I'm just going to ask if there's any additional business. Well, if there's not any additional business, I move that this meeting to be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Trauber?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Winton?
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler?
Yes.
8 yes. You stand adjourned. Thank you.